today we got to play Point City. Now this is a follow-up game off of Point Salad. But before we get into it, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and that notification bell because the board games are amazing, and that's what we do here at Legends of Nirvana. Now, Rob, can you tell us a little bit more about Point City?
Sure. So this is a brand new 2023 release. The overall rank is 6,065. It's got a pretty good rating at 7.5. Plays 1 to 4 people, and they're a big liar when it says it plays in 30 minutes. Took us way longer than that. Ages 10 and up, but that's also younger. I mean, Sarah's 9. She got it down pretty well, so I think it can go a little bit younger than 10. Designed by Molly Jackson, Robert Melvin, and Sean Stankiewicz, with art by Dylan Mangini. Published by Flat Out Games and AEG. Now the MSRP, Board Game Geek had it for $23, and it's on pre-order for Game Nerds and Miniature Market for $19.99.
Yeah, so this one's
it's pretty cheap.
Yeah, this is probably one of those great Christmas gifts to kind of help fill that out a little bit.
It's almost depending on the size of your stocking, it could be good stocking.
Yeah, just your stockings are huge. Now we did.
Brag,
I do really great stockings for you. It's true.
It's true.
All right. So we ended up picking this up because Sarah loves Point Salad. It's one of her favorite games. She brings it out often, and she really enjoys playing it. And so when Randy saw that this came out, he grabbed it as well. So we
grabbed it at Gen Con, didn't we?
Yeah, this is a Gen Con grab. Now, let's talk
about...
At
one point, it was in my vehicle, and I was like, what's this? But it made it here anyway.
And so let's talk about quality of components. So the cards are pretty standard thickness. There is no linen finish. You do have cardboard tokens. I'm not going to lie, this is probably a 5.5. There's nothing really great here.
There's more cards and more stuff than Point Salad, and Point Salad is my target.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's really nothing to the game. It would be a good one to sleep. You go through the shuffling the cards a lot, so I think it would be a good one to sleep.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's, everyone kind of agree with that 5.5 assessment?
I think the cardboard pieces are very good. I've seen some games lately that I was like, what?
They're thick cardstock.
I've just been like, what kind of die cast, whatever cutter machine were they using? That is not a problem here. I like the...
So what score do you want
I
to
would give it a 6.
6?
Okay.
Because I like the cardboard pieces.
All right, so let's move on to theme. Now, again, with Point Salad, it was pretty light on theme. And the fact that you have vegetables on cards and you're trying to combo them. I think the same.
It's an abstract game. There is no theme. So
I mean, you do have particular city types. You do have buildings on the cards.
Yeah, but there's no flavor. There's nothing that tells you what you're doing, why you're doing it. It's an abstract card.
Yeah, it's just symbols on a card. So I think scoring it similarly, I'm probably going to give it a 6. It is coherent. The art's kind of cute. I like the color. The color palette's really nice, but that's about it.
I mean, I agree with 6 just because of the art. I mean, that's all there is to it.
I really like that they don't have it in Point Salad, but this game they have doubles.
Oh, okay.
To where there's 2 in it, which I think is definitely an add-on into Point Salad.
Yeah.
Because it's just more, and it
gives you some more flexibility.
Yeah. And I love they're definitely abstract cards. Because, I just love the theme. It's a cute little theme.
Yeah.
So what are you going to score?
I'm gonna rate it a 7.
Okay.
All right. Really
7 it is.
All right, cool. All right, so let's move on to the rule book. So, I didn't read the rule book. I just taught the game after Randy taught me the game. So I
read how to set it up.
How was the setup? Right.
It was very easy. You got basically different stacks of cards from 1 to 3 dots in the lower left-hand corner. So based off a player count, you're going to take out a certain number of each of those 3 stacks of cards. But then once you remove those cards, then you just shuffle up the 1 dots to 2 dots and 3 dots. 3 dots on the bottom, 2 dots in the middle, 1 dots on top. Yeah. And that's it.
I will say they do have a quick reference for setup and actual gameplay on the back.
And then, then you put 16 cards.
Yeah.
You need a little more of that in the gameplay, but 16 cards start in the market area.
So I will say with the cheat sheet on the back, that is actually super useful. Once you read the rules, you can just use that back to kind of get you up and running again if it's a while between plays, which around here happens too often. So I do like that. I'm not going to really give it a score because we can't tell about the whole rule book, but what we did see and what we did play, it was very user-friendly and very easygoing. All right, so you start out the game with 16 cards, as Robert said, but at the start of the game, they're actually going to be all resource cards, okay? Now, during your turn, Sarah, what do you do during your turn?
So, first, you either get to pick, you get to pick two cards adjacent to each other. It cannot be diagonal, so it can be like these two or these two. But it cannot be these two.
Okay, and what do you use those tokens for?
These tokens are, this is a building, if it's a building, we will put a resource, and if it's a resource, we will put a building. And so if this is a building, so I'm going to put that mark, and then I'm going to...
So if she takes a resource, okay, there you go. All right, now, for her to actually take the building, she has to pay the cost of the building when she takes it, okay? So she's going to pay those resources. And then when we go to replace, if we're taking from a building, we're going to put a resource in the place. And if we're taking a resource, then we're going to flip it over for a building, okay? Now, one key important thing is to ensure, like we said, that the buildings that you're paying for it at the time of pickup, okay? And you have to go adjacent. And it's really, that's it. You take your two cards.
You got your element like Splendor, where a lot of the buildings will give you permanent cost reductions.
Correct. For
the resource that's on the other side of the card.
So, and like, for example, each one of these are considered a coin. So we keep referring to Point Salad, but there's also a lot of elements, like you said, into Splendor. And the fact that the buildings are like those tiles that you collect that give you those reductions. And then there's victory points. So you obviously want to build as many buildings as possible using as few resources as you can. And you got in-game scoring when certain cards will allow you to build a government building. Well, it looks like a government building. I don't know if that's what it's called. But then you get your pick of any token, and that's also based off a player count. The more players, the more these tokens are available. But a lot of them are like, it just looks at what cards you built. And so it doesn't count resources in your hand. It's cards that you built. Yeah. So it could be pairs of certain types, or there's one that says you get 4 points if you don't have a certain type. So a bunch of different ways of scoring, but these are very important. Yeah, and those tiles change every game that you play. Yeah, they've got a bunch. There's quite a few that we didn't use. Now, I will say the one thing is what happens if you can't buy any buildings, and there may be a thing where like I can't pick two resources, maybe because of the way the board's spread out. What do I do if I can't build buildings and I can't do that? You can always take two resources at the top of the deck, and you can just put those in.
Did anybody do that?
Yes,
yeah.
I did it quite a bit.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I did it like the first time.
Yeah. So you
always have options.
You always have options. You never get stuck. This is supposed to be a light, easy, go-to game. And like I said, it's like kind of a mixture of Splendor and the Point Salad. So
yeah, and it's a little bit meatier in Point Salad, but not a lot.
Yeah, no. And I think it's a little bit more meatier than maybe even just Splendor by itself. We've got the combination there, but not much. Overall, I thought it was a great filler game. I think this is going to be another good one that we're going to play with Sarah quite a bit. Instead of Point Salad, this is another option for us.
I think I like it more than Point Salad. Just because of that little bit of extra complexity. Yeah. Because Point Salad's, I like Point Salad, don't get me wrong, but it is a really light game. Yeah. So I like this one a little bit better. Yeah. Scoring-wise, what are you guys thinking about scoring?
If I had a holiday family party and not everybody was a gamer, I would give this a 7.5, maybe even higher. Okay. I can't see us playing this on a typical Wednesday night, but I like gateway games. I feel like this is a very good gateway game because it's got enough things going on. Yeah, I like this game.
I mean, I would rate it near her rating because I feel like that is a rating for this game, and I think that's just.
So you score 7.5
for what it is.
No,
Or you can go higher?
I would score it like an 8.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
For what it is, I think it's done well.
Yeah.
What about you, Rob? Where are you at on it?
I'm a 7. I mean, it's a good, solid game. It's solid for a gateway game or an introductory level game, but it's not something. I would only play it if I have newer people around me that aren't used to games.
Or maybe
This
some
would
kids.
not be, but this would not be a go-to game for me on a normal game night.
Yeah, no, I think
Yeah.
you're absolutely right. I think this is great. This is a great gateway game. I think at your holiday functions, at people that aren't, as familiar with some of them, a church game night, they call it a game night. And
Yeah, this would be perfect for that
It just made
situation.
me think of when Corey Capps taught me Biblios at like my very first game night, where I was
Yeah.
walking around going, "What's going on? What's going on?" And he's like, "Have a seat," and he pulls out Biblios, which I'm a book nerd anyway, and I'm like, "Oh, it's a board game with cards about books. I can figure this out, right?"
yeah.
I feel like this is very similar to that.
Yeah, no, I think this is a very good segue, especially if they've already played maybe Splendor and you're kind of wanting
Yeah.
to jazz it up a little bit.
Yeah.
The concepts here are really straightforward. So I'm actually with Rob on this one. I think it's a 7, but I can see why everyone scored it the way they did.
Sure.
Just because of their preference for gaming. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We had an absolute blast tonight, and hopefully you'll come hang out with us again. We'll catch you guys later.
Bye.
Today we're going to play Point City. Are you okay?
You startled her. Hello.
Hello.